Hey, what's up guys? Today I'm doing a blade swap. That's right, I have two full-size Griptilians and I want to swap blades. Top one has an X15TN blade with the orange handle, and the bottom one has a D2 blade that's black with the black handle. So I want to flip-flop them. What do you think about that? So, blade swapping is actually really cool because sometimes you get limited edition knives or small or low run knives with special steels or different color combinations, and sometimes you just want to mix and match. And we can do that. If you have identical knives in, their size, their parts, everything else is the same except for the materials, then you can flip-flop things. If I wanted to, I can use the front scale on this and the back scale on that. So I have two knives that are both black and orange. In this case, I'm just swapping the blades. But you can have fun with this kind of stuff, and you make basically a custom knife. You make a knife that no one else can just go out and buy. They'd have to replicate what you did, which would be buying two and swapping parts. So it's pretty interesting. It's cool. People have done this. I mean, I've besides blade swapping, I've swapped hardware because let's say this knife right here has the just the bare hardware, and I wanted an all black Griptilian with black hardware. I'd have to find another Griptilian full size that has black hardware. And you can interchange parts. So in this case, all I'm doing is flip-flopping the blades. I want the D2 blade with the black and the orange. I think that'll look cool. And then of course the black one with the X15TN blade. So that's what we're doing in this video. It's pretty straightforward. Just take them apart and switch the blades. But in case you haven't taken one apart, this video might be helpful for you. Griptilians have a funky, the inside's like this one, well, you'll see in a minute, but it's not full scale, full liners or anything. It's just kind of, it's just one cluster of stuff. But anyway, what you're gonna need for this is, first of all, number one, a lot of patience. Okay, taking any knife apart, you're gonna need some patience. Two, you're gonna need a Torx driver, and I'm gonna do a video very soon about the difference between the Husky Torx set and the Cobalt set. Okay, so stay tuned for that important information, because one stinks and one's awesome, and they're both about the same price. So, you're also going to need, you're getting a Torx set, but let's say you don't have a set, you have individual Torx drivers, you need a T4, okay, and a T9. T9 is for the pivot, the T4 is for this body screw, okay, pivot screw, body screw. Now, the T4 will also fit the body screws on the back. The heads are different, but when you go to, you can see this will not move, which means that's the right size, and same thing with these, okay, so it looks like that would be a bigger driver, but the head itself is bigger. It just takes the same tool inside of it. See the difference? So that's where we stand. So the first thing I need to do is take one of these apart at a time. I'm going to start with the body screws. I may or may not speed this up or cut some parts out, because taking screws out is kind of boring. Alright, well, I'm going to edit that out just because watching someone screw is a lot more entertaining than watching someone unscrew. Thank you. I will be here all night. There's the pile of hardware right there. Big correction, very important. Hear me out here. I mentioned these were T4s. That was an error. They're T6. The driver is a T6 for the body screws. Okay, I don't know why it came out T4, but I just realized I said that before. So you're going to need a T9 and T6. Alright, so the three body screws are out. The one middle screw, which is right here in the body, is out, and then of course pivot screws out. So now I want to do, we can take off the front scale, put that aside. We still have our female in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is push that out just so that we can remove our blade. There we go. Okay, see how she popped out a little bit there? Now there is going to be a flat side. This prevents the screw from turning as you're, putting everything in. Now these Benchmade, anything with the axis lock is very tricky. Once you take that female out, your axis lock, the button part of it itself actually moves up slightly. Okay, so when you're putting it back in, a little trick is to push it down just a tiny hair. But at this point, our blade is free to come out. So that's what I'm going to do, is slide it out. Okay, see, one washer came with it, the other washer did not, so I want to fetch that right now. These are the bronze phosphorus washers. Alright, so now what we have to do is replicate what we just did with the other knife. Swap the blades, put them back together. So I don't need to film all that, but I'm going to take the other knife apart and literally have all the stuff right next to it. So I'll get back with you when that's ready. All right, so I'm back. Now what we have here is both knives that are taken apart. We have the set of hardware here from the black one, and we have the set of hardware here from the orange one. Now, after looking at this again, I'm swapping. I'm putting the black blade in the orange handles. Okay. Now, I made a decision that I'm going to use the black hardware with the black blade. So we have black and orange throughout. So that's another change I'm going to do, which I literally just decided. So there's the hardware for that. Let's bring the hardware over here from this. So this one's all black and silver. That's all black and orange. So putting this back together is the opposite of taking it apart, as you would imagine. We're just swapping parts here. All right, now the biggest thing I can tell you, if this whole thing falls out, it's not a huge deal. It's a huge pain in the butt to put it back in. Just make sure your blade stop is pops back in there. Sometimes people forget that. They go, why isn't this working? But the biggest tip I could tell you, again, is when you're putting your female piece, okay, which has your flat end, when you're putting that in, which only goes in one way because this has a flat end as well. You can see there, they'll match up just like that. Make sure you pull down slightly on the axis lock button, okay, because that is going to really help you, I promise. Another thing, make sure your washers are on both sides, okay. You can see because of the oil on the pivot, see that sheen, sometimes they'll stick to the blade, sometimes they won't. But in this case, you can see I already have one on the back, which means this one probably came from the black one. And what do you know? There it is. So we don't want this one missing. In fact, I'm gonna have to put a little more lubricant on there. But yeah, just make sure you got two, just like you started with. All right. So this part I'll show. And that's a huge pain in the butt. Slide it in. Again, watch your washers. Okay. Line everything up. And you can do that with your Torx driver. It helps. Push it through, kind of wiggle around. Okay, like I said, you're going to need patience for this. Everything needs to get lined up nice. Once you get your female side in through the back, it's smooth sailing from that point on. But this initial part is a huge pain. That's how I do that, to get everything lined up. Okay, female goes in. Remember, it's only going in one way because that flat end is going to be on the left-hand side. All right. Let's get this started. Takes a lot of finesse, a lot of wiggling, moving stuff around. Just remember, it's going through the frame, the plastic, then of course this whole metal piece, then through a washer, then the blade, then the other washer, then the front metal piece. So it can be tricky. All right, so I believe everything's lined up how it should be. I'm pulling down slightly on that axis lock. And there it is. Okay, so now it's smooth sailing. Front scale goes on. First thing I want to do is put in the front part of my pivot screw to hold everything together. And the body screws should be nice and simple to do. So I will do that correctly because this is now not threaded properly. But I'm going to put this one together fully. And I'll get back. I'm just putting the screws in. You're not missing anything, I promise. And by the way, I will swap the clips as well, so this is all stainless instead of blacked out. Let me get this all together completely, and then I will show you the finished product. All right, guys, they're all done. It's that simple. Now I have two production custom knives. Very cool. This is the cheapest way to pimp a knife. You need nothing except for, like I said, some patience and some Torx bits for the knives. You can do this with any knife. You get two different models with two different color combos or blade steels or whatever. As long as the knives are identical, the materials are different. That's all you're looking for. You can swap hardware, you can swap clips, you can swap blades, or any combination thereof. So to go over this again, we have the black and orange, okay, D2. I did notice that the axis lock, liners, and the pivot screw is not coated black. So in the future, if I happen to have another one, I will swap that out so it's completely black hardware with the orange. But for now, it's cool. It's fine. I like this a lot. But my favorite of the two, of course, is this. We have a black handle, and we have that X15 TN blade with all the polished hardware, and of course that nice polished clip. So very sexy looking, very cool, very easy to do. This is really pimping 101. Before you actually start pimping knives and altering them, modifying and making your own custom scales, doing your own finishes, you know, all that kind of stuff, the most simplest way of pimping a knife is taking two identical production knives and swapping parts to get a specific look you're looking for, or just a specific combination of things. So I'm very happy how these turned out. Couldn't be any more happy with it. And of course this one is my favorite of the two, and this will get EDC tomorrow just because. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Appreciate your time as always, and hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day. Take it easy.